Everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So I have some news. The first sentencing has come down in regard to one of Trump's terrorists from January 6th. So that means it's time for a Plants and Politics episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
So you guys are going to remember this lady. I recently profiled her. This is Anna Morgan Lloyd. She's a 49-year-old woman from Indiana. She and her friend Donna Bissey bragged on social media about being some of the first people to enter the Capitol building. They said they were proud of their actions that day. In fact, Lloyd called it the best day ever. That was a direct quote, that she thought that was the best day of her life. Well, since then, Lloyd claims to have had a come to Jesus moment or two. She said that her attorney gave her a list of books to read, so you definitely will remember that. These books included information about the Holocaust, information about the history of racism and racial injustice in our country, and then other similar topics. So Lloyd apparently read some of these books. She also watched some of the movies, and then she wrote what people are describing, which is very accurate, as essentially book reports to the judge. She wrote to the judge and described what she learned and how these books and movies basically changed her heart and changed her mind. So she told the judge in part, quote, "I've learned that even though we live in a wonderful country, things still need to improve. People of all colors should feel as safe as I do to walk down the street." Very true. So Lloyd was originally facing up to 3 years in prison. She had been hit with 4 different charges for crimes, basically, slaps on the wrist, essentially, for just being in the Capitol. She didn't take any part in the violence that day. She didn't destroy anything. But nevertheless, prosecutors have agreed to a plea agreement. So they felt that even that 3-year sentence was too much. So what they've done is they've put her on 3 years probation. She has some community service hours that she's going to have to fulfill, and then a $500 fine. Now, I don't know what her finances are like. That may be a lot of money to her. I don't know. But at Lloyd's sentencing hearing, she said, quote, "I would just like to apologize to the court, the American people, and my family. I am ashamed that it became a savage display of violence that day. It was never my intent to be part of something so disgraceful to our American people." So the judge basically called her out on it a bit. He said, quote, "It was not an accident that it turned violent on January 6th. It was intended to and brought a halt to our government." And then the judge also called out Republican lawmaker Andrew Clyde, although not by name. So he's the guy who basically said, or did say, that if you didn't know any better and you just watched the footage from January 6th, you would have thought that these were tourists just touring the Capitol. This is the same guy, by the way, who is seen on video, seen in pictures, helping officers position furniture in front of the doors. This is the guy who was helping them move furniture in front of the doors because these tourists, I guess, scared him. So the judge calls him out. Like I said, he didn't mention his name, but he mentioned how lawmakers were defending the January 6 terrorists and saying that they were just like tourists at the Capitol. And then the judge said, quote, "I don't know what planet they were on, but there were millions of people who saw what happened on January 6th. And then the judge called it a disgrace to our country. That's a direct quote. So here's the deal. This sentence is bullshit. I understand that she wasn't violent. I get it. I understand she wasn't one of the ones who perpetrated any violence against officers. She didn't break anything. She didn't vandalize anything. But an example needs to be set. Even if it's 6 months in jail, that is a deterrent for many people. And if she's sincere about her change of heart and mind, good on her. That's awesome. I hope she is sincere. I don't want to dissuade or discourage anyone from having a change of heart about bigotry. But she's 49 freaking years old. First of all, these movies and books have been around for a hell of a long time, as well as other information and evidence that points to the fact that minorities and people of other faiths have been treated like shit in this country. Let's look at Native Americans. Let's look at why we even celebrate Thanksgiving. We're celebrating the slaughter of Native Americans. How can you live on this planet for nearly 5 decades and not know that? And second, what the hell does any of that have to do with her case? I mean, according to these people, according to what we've heard ad nauseum for 5 goddamn years, it's not that they like Trump because of his racism. It's not like that they like Trump because of his racist policies, his xenophobic, homophobic policies. It's because it's not because we're bigots. We like Trump because of our economic situation. We like Trump because he's going to drain the swamp. He's going to get rid of corruption, which he didn't do, by the way, in 4 years, but they were willing to give him a second term. They also claimed they were at the Capitol to protest election fraud. So what the hell does the Holocaust or racial injustice or any of this have to do with why she was there? Explain. I don't know how her reading these books or watching these movies has any bearing on her sentencing, unless we were all right. Unless we were right and they've been full of shit this entire time, which of course we know to be the case. Because there were literally people walking around in the damn Capitol with racist pro-slavery flags. The flag of the South, the Confederate freaking flag. How many people carried that flag? The flag of literal traitors to the country in the Capitol that day. The flag of losers, by the way. I have never seen so many people in my life so proud to show off the fact that they lost. Yay! Woo! We're on the losing team. We're losers. Woo! We're from the team of losers. Seriously? I mean, you had a guy in a Camp Auschwitz sweatshirt. There were people screaming throughout the day the N-word at Black Capitol police officers. They've attested to that fact themselves. They said they've never been called the N-word more in their entire lives. How about the fact that they were trying to literally steal the election and overturn the results, largely in communities where the majority of residents are people of color? We saw you. We see you. We know. We know what it's all about. So is she saying then that, yeah, you guys were all right? I was there because I liked Trump's bigoted policies, and that's what I wanted more of. And so now I see the light, and now I see that that was wrong. And, people of color shouldn't be treated differently in this country, people of other faiths. I mean, she admits she has a Holocaust denier in her family. Her son-in-law says only 1 million Jews were killed. That, it's not like they portray it in the history books. Really? Was he there? Because there are Holocaust survivors still on this planet. And they say No, you're wrong. He's half German, so he's a Holocaust denier. And she thinks that's wrong, which is great. Like I said, good on her. If she's sincere, she honestly now has seen the light and sees things differently. Awesome. I applaud her. That is awesome. But why have we been fed a load of bullshit for 5 years? That's not why people like Trump. That's not what they were there at the Capitol for. That's not who those people were. I'm not saying every Trump supporter is racist. I'm not saying everyone is a bigot. Not everyone is against the LGBTQ community or racist against Black people or Hispanic people or, anti-Semites. But a hell of a lot of people at that Capitol on January 6th were. So is that what she's admitting to? I don't know. Without any context, who knows? Maybe her attorney told her what it looked like, what the appearance was, and maybe she didn't want to be associated with that. I don't know. They didn't give that context. Anyway, guys, here we are. This now is going to set the ball in motion for a ton of other people to be given the same sentence, which is not even a sentence, really. A slap on the wrist. They terrorized people in that building. Whether they committed violent acts or not, whether they perpetrated any violence, whether they were the ones who broke furniture or broke the windows to get in, they were in a building that they had no legal authority to be in. There were police officers actively trying to keep them out and remove them. And they were there anyway. And they knew that lawmakers ran off in fear and hid. When someone runs away in fear and hides from you, that means they're afraid. That means you've done something. Your presence is making them scared. That's called a clue. That's called terror. They felt terrorized because these people acted like domestic terrorists. They tried to use terror to get what they wanted politically. They used terror to reach their political goals. That is terrorism. So how we are letting terrorists off with a 3-year probation and some hours of community service and a small fine, I don't know. But we just told all of the other terrorists in our country, come on down. Come on over. Head over to the Capitol. You don't like the outcome of an election? You don't like a piece of legislation that's passed? Come on. Break in. Terrorize everybody in the building. That's the precedent that we've now set. Because you're not going to have any consequences. This is a huge mistake. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. And I think that we are going to see the results of these poor decisions in the not so distant future. So I'll keep you guys posted. As always, please like, share, subscribe. Please become a supporter or friend of the show. Click on the link down below in the description box. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Take care.